Star Wars Clone Wars Season 5, Episode 3 on the Wings of Keeradaks. Obviously, I'm a few weeks behind on this review. Things have been a little different lately, as you have probably noticed, just regardless of where you are in the world, things have been a little odd, so trying to get some stuff done before everything shuts down. So now I'm finally catching up. I've watched all the episodes, so I'm currently caught up. I watched the most recent episode today. Hopefully, these will be uploaded today, March, whatever day it is. I don't actually know. Things have been weird at work. It's been so slow with the whole virus thing. Like, I'm one like maybe 8 people in my building, and I'm like, it drives me insane. I'm like, there's nothing for me to do. I'm just wiping stuff down with Lysol wipes all day. It's wild. But anyway, Star Wars, fun stuff. Another great episode. Bad Batch was awesome. We got some pretty interesting combat with the teams working together, as well as, them working with the village. And they basically, they fight the Republic. They do what they do. They fight the bad. Well, yeah, technically everyone's a bad guy except for the Jedi, and even they're like, morally speaking, they're a bit questionable. But as far as the story goes, Palpatine's controlling both sides anyway. But this innocent village, they were like, hey, we don't want your war here. We're just kind of here. They happen to be on our planet, but they're way over there. We're doing our own thing. That's all there is to it. The guys had to fight their way out. They had a plan to go across this really tiny bridge, of course. That didn't pan out. So they had to jump on the Keeradaks. They make it back to the village, and it's like, hey, we didn't want to bring the war to you, but look what they did to one of our guys. They chopped his freaking head off. They split him in half. This is wild. Like, they've made their decision, and sorry to bring it to you, but now you're in it. And of course, the Republic doesn't give a crap. They aren't going to be like, we only want them. They were just like, which would have been the smart play, by the way. It should have really been like, hey, we know you guys aren't involved, so just turn on them and, just kind of give them to us. That would have been the really smart play. But instead, they did what they did because they're the bad guys. They're like, send a swarm, blow everybody up. Who the F cares? And it was like, well, there's your mistake right there. Because if they didn't team up with the villagers, they would have lost because there were only 5. They're like, I think 8 people total. It was Anakin, Rex, Echo, Anakin, Rex, Echo, and then Bad Batch was 5 people. So there's like 8 people there. It would have been the smart move, but they're like, we need to attack, and that's it. And so we got a pretty sweet action sequence out of it, and I loved it, so I didn't mind. We got them doing some really fun stuff. I loved when Anakin, he does his thing. He's doing his Jedi moves, and he's like, all right, they sit in like the giant, they look like hot air balloons with turrets on them and legs. So he of course, he's using the Force. He's jumping up in the air. He's, cutting the tubes and stuff like that so that it can't shoot these giant beams, which had really cool sound effects when they would shoot them off. I thought they chose a really sweet sound effect for that. And so he destroys that one. It's like, okay, well, how in the world are we supposed to do that? And then Wrecker's just like, all right, here we go. He's like, what? No, not again. And he just launches him up in the air. And I was like, that was so dangerous that he did that. But it was such a great sequence. So I love that scene. And they take out, all these giant, whatever they're called. I know they have a name because everything in Star Wars is named. But whatever the giant things were, the hot air balloons with turrets on them, they destroy all of them. Of course, they win. They save the village and everything. But it was a good episode. I liked the way it was handled. I thought the action was really cool. That little machine that was in the beginning of the episode where they made their big escape, and it just starts shooting out like electricity. That was really interesting. I don't think that's ever been shown in any of the other shows. I don't recall seeing that thing because it's literally just a tiny little orb is sent in, and it shoots out purple lightning. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What were they going to do with that? Because based on the name, I think it was called like the Devastator. It was called something that sounds like it would kill you. But, considering it shot out like electricity, I was like, does it hit you until you're dead, or does it just shock you? Or, they could probably choose if they wanted to, but it seemed like it was like, just put a little hole in and just let that thing just blast lightning and kill whatever's inside. But of course, they make their escape. They destroy everything. They drop some little sticky bombs to blow it up. So, got some good combat out of the episode for sure. Of course, they succeed. They, some of the villagers get killed, but ultimately they're like, all right, the Republic is bad. You guys are pretty cool. Whatever. And it was a good episode. I definitely enjoyed it. It was a really good continuation of how well these teams work together. Like the Bad Batch, they do stuff, and it's just like, it would not surprise me in all honesty if we got to like, the end of the season and they revealed like a part of their augmentations is that they have like a pseudo hive mind sort of situation where it's not exactly like, hey, we can literally see what the other people see, but just something about it. Because I'm like, the way they move, where they do it a lot too, and I was like, I feel like they focus on this a lot. They'll have a character that is right in front of a droid, or they could dodge or do something, but instead they just do like a slow turn, or they'll just like walk. They'll do something very simple, and it's like, why not destroy that droid? It's right in front of you. And then the other person who's facing in the opposite direction kind of just automatically turns with them, and it's just like, boom, I got it for you. And it's like, man, the way that they work together is so interesting, because it's not like, I guess technically they could with augmentations, who knows, but it's not like they're scanning the entire battlefield with instantaneous, photographic memory in the middle of combat. And they, even if that was the case, you wouldn't know if you're looking in this, if I'm looking at you guys, I don't know what's happening, directly behind me when I scanned it, 30 seconds ago. Like, it's a battle, like there are blasters going off all over the place, everybody's moving, but somehow they're just in perfect sync. And I'm like, there's got to be something there. I could be wrong, and it could just be like, here's just a cool thing, and I'd be fine with that. But I would love it if it was like an actual story element that they kind of officially revealed later on. Because I was like, man, the way that they work, it's unnatural. I was like, it doesn't. It's almost like they're using the Force, in an honest sense. Like, it's the only true comparison that I can actually think of, is like, they're basically using the Force. But I love it. I love watching it because it's entertaining to see that from these characters. So it'll be nice to see. I don't think that they're going to get rid of these characters and not bring them back, towards the end of the season. I really do think that they're going to be like some of the big villains when they get to Order 66. They're just like the perfect characters to do it. They have augmentations. They all have these very set skills, and them becoming like full-on enemies, that would be very interesting. So I don't know if that'll end up happening. That was my theory. As soon as they were introduced, I was like, that would be such a cool, twist for their storyline, to kind of pull that into the Order 66 stuff. Like, these characters, they've just been introduced, no one's died so far, at least. That means they're out there, and they can just bring them back at the end of the season, and then they're like really tough bad guys because they're powerful, and they have like basically a hive mind type situation when it comes to combat. So I would love to see that. I say it pretty much every time because I just feel like they would be perfect as villains. And obviously we're gonna see Order 66, so it's going to get crazy, and I'm very curious about that one. But another great action episode, and of course, they succeed, they get off planet, and then it's kind of like, all right, well, now let's see what we get to next. And it's based on having seen the next episode as well as the most recent one. We go to like the end of our first little story arc. So of course, looking forward to doing that review. But this was definitely a fun episode. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it, and I would love to know what your favorite action moment was from this episode. I think that's kind of been the big thing with the Bad Batch. They've just been like, hey, we're starting you guys off with the clones, we're putting you in the Clone Wars for real again. And they've done a great job with that, because it's always been fun watching the clones fight. But to bring in these augmented clones, and they have unique battle skills. Like, I mean, Wrecker is going through, and, like, they have the little thing where he, like, takes out a bunch of droids, which was a great scene. And then, I always forget the sniper's name. I don't know why I can't remember his name. But he has, like, the little mirrors, and he just launches, he's just throwing them out as they're running down the hall. And he just shoots one, and the one blast just ricochets in a spiral all the way down this hall. And it was such a cool scene. I was like, that's probably my favorite moment through the whole episode. But I was like, that's so good. And it's like, don't worry, Wrecker, you'll beat his record. You'll beat his numbers next time. He's like, no, he won't. And that was just cool. Like, or I think he said, like, you'll outdo him next time or something like that. And it was just like, yeah, Wrecker had a sweet moment, but it was just so tactical, and just like, man, he shot a laser, and it just went all the way around in the spiral. And the droids are dumb. They just seem dumber and dumber, where they just make decisions, and it's like, this doesn't work. What are you guys doing? And there's something that happened in the next episode, and I'll talk about that in my review. But I was like, wow, they're just stupid now. They aren't even, like, it's just weird how dumb they are as droids. It's like, you're programmed for war, but it's like, you see this laser, like, like, they're just marching in a straight line, and it's like, duck or something. As much as they scream and freak out, they can duck or dodge or do something. And they were just like, let's march along, guys. And they just all got, lined up and taken out by one blaster. And I was like, it looks awesome. But I was like, they just make the droids seem dumber and dumber. And they're basically AI at this point, because they were just, Roger at first. And then I think when episode 2 came out, that was when things really changed. And they had like the weird, silly personalities and stuff like that. And now it just makes them seem dumb. But I'll talk about that in the next episode. But ultimately, I still really enjoyed it. That was just the one thing. And the next episode, they definitely had a big thing about it. But really enjoyed this one. Like I said, of course, if you guys have any comments, please put them down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.